So for just few minutes, I'll take you to the plan, what we have. This is what we are trying to do for FEB. If you can see the word file on the screen. Remember the case study exams. Okay, so case study exams, they give a precision. Like in this case, we have a simulator or accumulator, we can call it. We have an EV company. So most important thing for clearing this exam is knowing your business. CIMA primarily is testing on your business acumen. They are not testing on the theory part. They are not testing on any specifics. They do, but the percentage of that is less than 20%, or we can say it's around 15%. Primarily it's about showing the business acumen. So we have 5 skills they are testing: people skill, business skill, leadership skill, technical skill, and digital skill. So when you talk about this people, leadership, business, mostly this is from a business acumen perspective, how you can run the business. Remember, your position in this case study is about senior finance manager, or we can say finance vice president, and you are reporting to the board of directors. So when you say the board of directors, you are actually working with them. And board of directors doesn't think just about the finance department or the marketing department, sales department. They think about the entire organization altogether. So we have to be very careful when we are assessing the answer. Most of the time, what happens from our experiences, we see finance team or finance leader is just concerned about the finance department, but that should not be the case in our answers. Like just now Mr. Safwan is also saying about the answering. So a lot of students struggle in the answering. In fact, if I tell you, the second top reason why students fail is rote writing. What is rote writing? They mug up things and they just go and copy paste that, think that, oh, I'll get marks. If you copy paste something from the pre-seen, copy paste something from the textbook, no. In fact, you have the access to the pre-seen materials in the exam. It's not like you don't have. So if you have the pre-seen material access, you have the questions. So what they are trying to see is how you apply to the scenario. Okay, I'll show you one question also going forward. Then another thing is E3, P3, F3. So technically, we don't have a specific textbook. We just have a case study, and obviously that is almost 80-85%. But these pillars can help us to build that base. So E3 is focusing on enterprise. It's mostly include about the pestle analysis, or we can say about the 5 forces. We have a lot of models. We have topics on change management. We have topics on digitization. So technically, as a business leader, you should know your industry. You should know what kind of changes are coming in the industry. If there is a disruption happening, for example, in EV, we are planning to move from lithium-ion batteries to sodium batteries. We are planning for uh, faster charging ports, or faster charging batteries. So that will definitely bring a very massive change. So that is all about E3. Then if you move on P3, it is called risk management. Risk management is like 100% of the exams, at least one question come in here. Very important. So what it includes in risk is it talk about identification risk and risk mitigation. Then it also talk about UK corporate governance. So we need to have a decent idea, not a detailed regulation, but decent idea what is the UK code of corporate governance. For example, if somebody is listed in the UK, you need to have an audit committee, nomination committee, and remuneration committee. Risk committee is good to have. Risk and sustainability. Nowadays, we are having sustainability committee also. That is a positive side. But most of the countries, even in UK, it's not a very strict legal requirement. It's good to have, essential to have. Then P3 will also see about cyber security. So we have 3 big chapters on cyber security. In fact, that is one of the most commonly asked questions. I believe it was there in one of the November exam also last week. And I'm very confident it should be there for February also for you guys. So here, everyone is expected to have at least basic idea about digital strategy and how this is bringing the threat. Like how we need to have a good investment in the cybersecurity, how we should improve our controls. And remember, when we are testing certain controls, we have to use our logic, cost versus benefit analysis. So a lot of these things we'll discuss. Then moving on to the last one is F3, financial strategy. So financial strategy is all about looking at the financial statement, analyzing them. The good news is you don't have any calculation. They'll give you sometimes the numbers, but do you have to calculate anything? The answer is no, you don't. but you should be able to read the numbers, analyze it. Therefore, you need to know the ratios. For example, gearing ratio. What is gearing ratio? Debt to equity ratio. How much debt we have, how much equity we have. So this will help us to plan further. For example, whether we are going for debt as a new option or an equity as a new option. Again, this is like very commonly asked question about raising finance. Because whatever we are doing, let's say we are going for a new product, we are going for a new market, or we are penetrating the same market, most of the time or almost every situation will need money. Why will need money? Because this is not our normal working. This is like a special project. So we'll not have funds for that. Or maybe we do have in a retained earnings. But again, that is a strategy whether to use that retained earnings or not. Then another very important part of F3 is forex, like mitigation of foreign exchange risk. So technically currency risk and interest rate risk. So in currency risk, we have an international business. We'll see in the pre-scene how many countries we are doing. We might have suppliers, we have vendors, we have our manufacturing also in different countries. So we are in one country, we are in, let's say, D dollar, then we have A dollar, B dollar. You know, we are having receivables and payment in different currencies. So how we can mitigate that? One simple way of mitigation is like, you know what CIMA is doing. Wherever or whichever part of the world you are, you have to pay their fees in pounds. So that is also a way of mitigating their risk. Then the last and most important of F3 is business valuation. So we should know the valuation of our business. And many times when we are acquiring other business, they'll ask a question, what should be the valuation? Because that is the starting point, how much to pay for. So for that, we need to look at the different technique, asset-based valuation, cash flow-based valuation, earning-based valuation. Again, they don't ask you to explain how that valuation works, how you calculate. No, it's mostly about the characteristics or the advantage and disadvantage, which type of valuation is suitable in which situation. For example, in a service industry, if we are going for asset-based valuation, so in simple word, asset-based valuation is just adding up all your assets and whatever is the final price is the valuation. But it will never work in a service industry because service industry doesn't have a lot of assets, but still they have a good valuation. Why? Because of the intangible assets. So like this, we'll go through that. However, the good part is from this batch, what we have done is, I'll show you something. We want to do live sessions and we'll be doing it. But from this batch, we want to go a little smarter. And obviously, some of you are very busy, so we need to consider that. If you see the new screen, this is our CIMA SCS all study notes in one. I'll send you the link for this to everyone. Okay. For example, now we were talking about F3, right? I hope you can see the new screen. So in this tab, you have access to everything. For example, if you click on this F3 notes, so we have all the chapters. The first thing is about our notes. If you click here, you have this notes. So instead of going through that 900 and 1000 page textbook, we have this almost 75 page notes. We have all these 13 chapters here. So you have a PDF, you can print it out or you can just read it digitally. Okay. This is enough for case study. You don't need to worry about other notes. Okay. Secondly, all the chapters what we have done, we have made into a small videos so that things become easier for us. For example, this is F3 chapter first. Hello everyone, welcome to. If you see, this is how much? 30 minutes. First chapter is just 30 minutes. Then if you go to the second chapter, this is 27 minutes. You're getting the point. So like this, we have all the 13 chapters. So we'll be discussing in live, but it will make more value. Let's say we are discussing chapter 1, chapter 2 today, for example. So if you have watched that video, then you join the session, you will have a basic idea what we are talking about. And for me also, it will be easier so that we can apply to the scenario. Usually what happens is First we do the notes like this E, P and F pillar, then we go to the case study, because the pre-scene is not out 5-6 weeks before the exam, but this time we have the pre-scene, so we don't need to take just generalized example. We'll do the pre-scene first, and we'll try to do everything from the industry perspective. So what will happen, the biggest advantage is in each chapter when we are discussing, we can apply that to the case study, and we can think what type of question can be asked and how you can answer them. Does it make sense? You guys can stop me if there is any confusion anytime, because this plan should be very clear. So what we have done here is we have recorded everything for F3. Now this is not just for F3. You have same thing for P3. P3 notes and videos. This will be the file name. So we have 10 chapters here. We have all 10 chapters. Usually it is recorded around 30 minutes. Then you also have a notes here. So make sure when you are joining the session, you go through it before. Technically, this is your to-do list for the week. When your usually our classes will be on weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So weekdays you have to go through it. And this is ideal for you to listen when you're traveling, when you're commuting to work. That will also save the time. Then the same thing is there for E3 here. E3 notes. So you have E3 PDF and you have all E3 chapters also. All 13 chapters. Is that clear? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes, Misbah.
Thank you. So this is very important. These 3 pillars. Trust me, if we do this pillars and if we do that pre-scene and all properly, this is like covering our 80 to 90% of the preparation. And even now you can question, you can say that in the start I said 80-85% is practical. Now why I'm asking you to do this theory? So technically when we are doing this theory, I'm not expecting you to mug up anything. It's just about having a better understanding. For example, we discuss about cybersecurity, right? What are the cybersecurity issues we have in an organization and how we can mitigate. So same thing might be there in the current organization you're working. So you don't need to use from textbook, you can use from what you have done at your work, but it will give you some better understanding. Or if you have 5 controls now, if you study this, you will have 10 controls. That's it. You don't need to mug up anything, or you need to not copy paste the same wording. So you can write in your own words. Same thing with the financial strategy, same thing with business valuation, same thing with currency and interest rate risk. All right. Now moving on to the next one is industry analysis. So in industry analysis, what happens? Some of you might have given management case study also, right? You are a finance manager. Now you have promoted to senior finance manager. So when we work at the top of the organization, so we cannot just think about our business. We have to think about the industry, because most of our decisions are motivated, inspired, or even forced by the industry we are in. Imagine we are launching something and the industry is way ahead of us. So nothing will work. For example, if you see, let's compare to Samsung and Apple. So when they launch a new phone, let's say now iPhone 17 is out. So Samsung is launching something similar. Similar means they launch a new product which has again latest technology. So both of them are like competing. But imagine one of the competitor goes way ahead of them. So other will struggle badly. Or maybe one of the competitors is lacking behind. Again, others will get a very good advantage. So we have to respond to the industry. Obviously, it depends how much you want to depend on industry. Or we can think about, in e-commerce, Amazon is not just looking at the industry. They are trying to create the future. They want to lead the industry. They want to bring the change. In fact, most of the industry leader organization, they are not just forecasting. They do a foresight. What is foresight? They create the future. They are like, okay, this industry will look in this way. These are plans. And that's what is happening in our industry also. In EV, if you see Tesla and BYD, Tesla was talked about so much, but now currently BYD is overtaking that. But if you look at the irony part, both are the suppliers. Tesla is helping BYD with the technology, and BYD is helping with the hardware to Tesla. So they are supporting each other. Same thing with Apple and Samsung. So most of the companies on the top, they do collaborate because it creates synergy. They are competing, but inside they are collaborating. So industry is very important. So one quick tip I can give for you guys is, sometime if you're tired or if you're not in a comfortable position to read, and if you have got 4 to 5 minutes, so what you can do smartly, just go on Google or ChatGPT and just search about EV news. What is happening in the news? Because many times CIMA is testing on what is happening in the real world. We have seen cases where something happened, and after 2 months, that was the case in the exam. For example, there's a food delivery company called Deliveroo in UK, like Uber Eats. So there was some issue happening with the minimum wage. Deliveroo was saying that even if their delivery partners are sitting idle, they will get the money. They'll get their minimum wage. But other companies are like, if they're not delivering, why we should pay? If they get customers, that time we'll pay. But if they're just waiting, we'll not pay. So it was like an ethical question. In fact, it went to the court and a lot of discussion happened. And even court says, you don't have to pay it because this is not a normal job, it is self-employed. And they agree that if they are not working, they'll not get paid. So technically it was in the favor, but ethically it was a discussion in the industry. And trust me, after 2 months, that was an exam question. It should be there. You can still go and see it. If you want to see previous paper, just Google CIMA session answer. You'll get the link. It was a food delivery business. And the funny part was, we discussed that news article in the class. And we are so fortunate 2 of the students got that same variant. So it's just luck. Luck, or I would also say it's a smart work. It's half luck and half smart work. Because we know the pattern. Same thing happened with, we have a company for airport management. It was a replica of Heathrow Airport in London. So Heathrow has a lot of issue and backlash when they want to come up with the third runway. Because the 2 runways, they are working more than 95% of the capacity. And because of the strategic location or geographical location, they are so busy, right? They wanted to come up with the third runway, and the local population was not happy. So they invested so much in the local society, they come up with the triple glazing glass. Then they convinced government about the economic benefit, and eventually they got a green signal. And the same scenario, 100% same scenario was asked in the exam. The question was, we want to go for third runway, and the local population and some other stakeholders are not happy with that. So how we can manage them? Does this make sense, this example?
Yes, Misbah.
Yeah. So it should not be just one time, you can keep on stopping. It's more of a discussion, as I said. That will make more sense.
So, Misbah, I have a question now
Yes,
that we are in the planning stage. So, any idea? This is the first time, I think, maybe from my knowledge, I'm hearing that the case study is getting repeated for the next quarter
yeah.
from November to the same no February. So, why is it? What is the intention behind? Otherwise, every time it used to be a new topic industry for the case study.
Yes, Raju, that's a good question. So technically, we used to have 4 case studies, and it should release around 6 weeks before the exam, and that was the reason that made exam also difficult. But now what they have done, they have made the same pre-scene for 2 exams, November and February. If you would have writing in November, you'll not have this luxury. Now for February, you have it. And same thing for the May students. May student will not have early access to the pre. Now that's the change in the policy. And now why they are doing it? Maybe because to make life easier for the students, for the stakeholders, and maybe for them itself to come up with the questions, planning and everything. Because imagine, like 4 case studies every few months, the entire industry is changing. It's very difficult to cope up with that changes. And now we have 3 pre-scene also: operational case study, management case study, strategic case study. So technically, if you see, they need 12 industries in an entire year. So maybe that is the reason they have changed it. But as a student, I believe it is a positive sign for us. And that's the reason I believe most of the students are going for the second attempt. Like in my batch also, we have like some of you wanted to go for November, now you have postponed it to February, isn't it? Because the pre-scene is same. So that way it is beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. And I have a follow-up question.
Yeah,
Now, so it is so obvious that maybe for November we would have prepared well, we know what to anticipate, and also we have the students who have written November exam, so
right.
we know the type of question what has come for the same industry. Now, what is the probability or the surprise that we should expect in February that there can be totally a twist in question, or what kind of testing they can do in February exam, or can it be a same pattern of the understanding of how we have done in November?
Right. So technically, the fundamentals remain the same. The skills what CIMA is testing. Okay. And now, if you ask about the questions, so technically CIMA has 6 variants. So 3 of them is already tested in November. Now the 3 variants that will be asked for February for you guys will be totally different. So there is no probability, the same thing will repeat. Some of
Okay.
the time the same topic might repeat. For example, if they've asked audit committee might be asked again, cybersecurity, it might be asked again, but in a new story format altogether.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So the variants are new. So let's say if you call it like ABC. So ABC has been asked, now you'll have DEF like that. So even if somebody has attempted the previous one, it didn't go well, or they know it's not like the same thing will repeat. No. And honestly, we don't even know exactly what they've asked. We might have a basic idea, but the questions are so big. Even the students those who have attempted, they will not know it completely, because we have the email, then we have the reference material. It's quite big, a very big document. So our strategies will try to do everything that is required. Most of the things we'll try to cover. We are not going in assumption. Okay, these 3 questions are asked. These 3 topics were asked. Let's ignore that topic and go to the other one. No, we need to have an holistic approach, and we'll try to do everything that is possible and be very well prepared. Yeah. So the industry analysis is extremely important. If you get free time, you just look at the news article, what is happening. Main thing is you have to have a mindset shift. What is the problem? Sometimes I have seen students are little negative, because if somebody is coming from the university, they are like, I don't have experience, and I can't think about that position. I'm not able to relate to it. On the other hand, we have senior people coming in, they are like, it's been 15 years, it's been 20 years, I have not attempted any exam, now I'm struggling for that. But I believe if you see the same situation in a positive side, let's say a student can say, I'm not working, I have enough time. If somebody is giving 2-3 hours daily, I can give 4 hours, and I can get an edge. That's an advantage. A senior CIMA aspirant can say, I have so much of industry experience, 15-20 years of industry experience, I will have an edge over others. Or at least it's not about comparing with others, but I have an industry experience, and that will help me to showcase the business acumen. In fact, CIMA do give exemption based on the experience. So you have that advantage. So try to always have a positive approach. That will help. Because both the side or both the situation I have seen, students are taking it negatively. Oh, I am just a student, I don't have experience. Experienced people are saying, oh, I have so much of experience, but it's been a long time I am a student. If I would have been a student now fresh, I will do it in a easier way, or I can do it in a better way, like that. So both have its advantage. I feel both of you are in a good position, because you bring a different advantage, a different strength to the table. And honestly, maybe I'm being over optimistic, but I believe it's very easy exam. Not just easy, very easy. We need only around 53% to pass. That is, out of 150, we need only 80 marks. And trust me, I have seen students, those who have attempted the entire paper, they have understood the question, they have passed. 99% of them have passed. Simple as that. But still, if you see the passing percentage, especially the first time, is low. Why? Because they don't understand the question. In fact, uh, at least I would say 25 to 30% of the students, they don't think that they need to build this fundamental E3, P3, F3. They're like, okay, 15 days before they started, they read the pre-scene and they go and write. And in the exam, they are coming across certain concept like, oh, scenario planning was asked. I don't know what it is. Or they're asking about hedging. I don't know what it is. So it's just like lack of preparation. Or maybe there is another trend going on. I have seen on the social media is some students, they try to act very smart. They are like, okay, I just need mock and I'll pass the exam. That will definitely not help, because if the student is writing mock directly, they don't have any base. It's very rare the same question might come up. Even if the same topic comes up, we have like, 3 tasks, 6 topics. So there is like almost 0% probability of getting all 6 topics from the mock, right? And even if you don't have the understanding of the pre-scene, how you'll apply to the scenario, how you'll apply to the industry. So mocks are important, but towards the end. Even in the sessions, I have seen some students are just rushing for the mocks. But I say them, if you do this topic, for example, we are doing P3. So usually we do an exercise like we should come up with 40 to 50 odd risk, what we are facing, the likelihood and probability of that, and how we can mitigate. And this file will be separate for all of you. You have to do it, it's an individual work. I'll help you with that, but it's an individual work. So if you do that, now any question comes for the risk, you are already prepared. You know how we are mitigating that, rather than just doing 1 or 2 questions for the risk in the mock. You're getting the point? Then regarding writing practice, we can do writing practice when we are building this base. For example, we discuss about E3, so we can write our own industry analysis in our own words. That will improve our writing skill. Writing skill is very, very important, because it's very rare that we do a lot of typing in our work. For example, 9 to 10 pages we have to write, and that too for continuously 3 hours, which is again very rare. So that practice can help. In fact, another reason why students have reset is unfinished answers. And why unfinished answer? Because they have not practiced typing, or they have not practiced writing skills. This sounds strange, but I have experience with senior people, very senior people. They were very good with the concept. If they talk, you'll be like, oh, this gentleman will, or this lady will get a rank or a global rank. But in the exam, they have struggled, because when we talk, it's easier. If we have to write, we struggle because it's easier. Speaking skill is easier to master than the writing skill. Many of you guys might have attempted IELTS exam, right? So you'll agree with that. Okay. So no need to rush for the mocks. But I'll give you access to everything in that note section. But don't rush for that. Let's go step by step. Then after industry, we have SWOT and PESTEL analysis. SWOT and PESTEL looks very basic, but it's extremely important. For example, SWOT is what? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So strength and weakness are internal to the business, internal to the company. For example, our strength can be we are listed business. Our weakness can be we are not diversified. We are just into one industry, one line of business. Opportunity, threat are external. Opportunity is like what is happening in the industry and that is beneficial for us. Let's say government is giving incentives, or government is coming up with the charging stations, infrastructure. That's opportunity. What can be the threat? Threat can be oil prices are going down, or the local society doesn't trust electric vehicles, or we have seen some incident because of that it's happening, or regulation, they are taking away the incentive, or the tax is going up. That is like a threat. That is mostly. So opportunity and threat is for the industry. It's not specific to us. It can be, but it's very rare. And strength and weakness is for us. It's just specific to us. Then moving on, we have PESTEL analysis. PESTEL is for the industry again: political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Political risk or political situation is most asked question. I think it was there in November exam also, and it was there in most of the exam last 2 years. Why? Because of the political uncertainty and the industry we are in. The government's influence in certain industries more. So therefore, that kind of question come in. Like previously, we have a pre-scene where we are mining lithium. It was called Liothe. So there also government license, regulations, everything is very difficult. Therefore, there was a question on political risk. So here pestle analysis can be a little tricky for us because if we look at the pre-scene, in the pre-scene there isn't talk about. I hope you guys have seen the pre-scene. I can show you quickly now. In the pre-scene, they don't give us a lot of detail what is happening, uh, and obviously it's a fictional country. They try to copy UK, but still, it's a fictional country. Let me go to the pre-scene quickly. For example, this is our pre-scene. Okay, I hope you guys can see. So here they start with, if you quickly go, this is your role introduction. They start with the industry analysis. This is like industry. It's not specific to our business. Okay. So from here, you have to take the points from pestle analysis. They'll give you something about the changes. For example, society. Like here, if you see this second paragraph, we'll go through it line by line. There was very little interest in electric cars throughout the 20th century, although electricity was used to power other types of vehicles in specific applications. So in 20th century, this started. So how this changed over time? Then what are the types of electric cars? How the technology is changing? So this will be part of technology in pestle analysis. What type of cars are being sold in Duxland? So from here you can take certain points, and remaining you can take from what is happening in the real world. You can look at what is happening in UK, what is happening in the US, or maybe China also in this case. New regulation coming in. Yeah, good point, Hina. So they are introducing a new tax on electric vehicles. Okay, so whether it's opportunity or threat, is there in a chat? Yeah, it's a threat because tax. So it's like 3 pence per mile. You are saying 3p per mile, while PHU drivers will pay 1.5 p per mile, and on top of existing vehicle excise duty. Okay, very good example. It's a threat. So where we'll know all of this once we look at the news in the industry. So some points we are getting from the pre-scene, and some points we have to see what is happening in the real world. So these are all about industry only. We are on page 7. If you see the screen, now is page 8. Still, we have not started anything about our business. All about industry. Because when you're at the top, when you're sitting at the top, it's all about the industry. This is the market share. So we are like, if we say we are simulator now, we are 15.4%. So 15.4% of the market share. But if you see on the positive side, we are number 3 from the top. So we are the top 3 business, and that too, if you see in second and third, Dilson and simulator is just a small difference, even not a major difference with number 1. So we are the top 3 companies in the industry. Yes, it will have its impact. Running cost will rise and all of this. Now the pre-season is starting. Now your company is actually starting, or our company is actually starting, where we established and all of this. From this, we'll get strength and weakness. Okay. So for pestle points, we are looking at a little bit in the pre-scene, and mostly it will come from our analysis in the. And trust me, if we do this pestle and SWOT, we'll have at least half of the scenarios ready in our mind. What can we ask in the exam? One thing is for sure, it's almost guaranteed, or at least we can say 99% guarantee that what is happening in this industry or what is normal in this industry, the same topics will be asked. They won't ask you something which is unimaginable for this industry. The questions that is coming from here, it is from the industry only. So if you know already the industry issue, I'll give you a quick example. We have a previous case study about warehousing, and we see what kind of changes are happening now. Globally, there is a rise of e-commerce. And for e-commerce, what we need is dark stores, warehouses, isn't it? In fact, a lot of people are shifting from other industries and coming into just warehousing. They are leasing their property, and they're enjoying good margins because there is a demand for warehousing, right? So, what was the biggest challenge for warehouse? To get the employees. And what is the reason why employees are not ready to work there? Because of health and safety. Almost every warehouse have seen accidents. Some have seen massive, some have seen basic one. And a lot of news never come out. And trust me, in both the sitting, we have questions on health and safety. So it was obvious. Most of the accidents happen where? In the warehouse, right? So this is just a smart way of preparation. We know what is the mindset of the examiner. Usually this is not the preparation. And honestly, if I tell you, when I gave my strategy case study exam, I didn't know all of this. I used to just read more on EP and F failure. I didn't know this smart approach that if you know the industry, we will have an idea what type of topics they'll be asked. So it's just smart work, you know. Then moving on, next one is risk mitigation. Risk is a very commonly asked topic. Again, we have like P3. But now you can ask me why we have to do this 50 risk and why you're doing it separately. Remember that risk is a very, very important part of the syllabus. And especially when you go for the strategic level and when you are a well-settled business. And if you compare a well-settled business with a startup will take a lot of risk because they don't have much to lose. But when we are a well-established business, we are, top three among the world, like we just saw. We have more to lose. So the risk appetite actually slows down. Or we can say we have more to lose than to gain. So we are very careful with the next step. Therefore, we need to have a proper and a very robust risk management. In fact, risk is not separate now, risk is integrated. Whatever we are doing, risk is part of it. As simple as we are launching new product, we are looking at what is the risk, what is the product risk here, what if this thing fail, or if you're going into the new market, what is the risk here? So first thing is risk, then we look at the return. It's not just the cost or investment and the return, we are also looking at the risk, because as we grow big, there is more to lose than to gain. Then that's the reason we are having risk committees also. What is risk committee? Now risk committee is planning for the internal controls, they're designing the controls. Then we have risk manager, we have CROs, chief risk officer, and all of this adds value to the organization. And this exercise will also help you guys to understand the business. If you don't know the business, you'll not know the risk. And once you know the risk, and once you're trying to look at, what is the likelihood and impact, then how you can mitigate. Every step of this will improve your understanding about the business, about the industry. And if you know the business very clearly, then any question they ask, you'll be ready to answer. Like, okay, I know it. For example, now you guys are working in certain industries, and if any question come from there is a high probability you can answer, at least a decent answer, isn't it? So same thing here. Next is stakeholder analysis. So technically this sounds very basic, but very important. Every scenario will have stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? Anybody who is connected to us directly or sometimes indirectly also. As a society, they are neither are direct customers or suppliers, but they are connected. If there is a lot of pollution happening, or if there is any changes happening, or if you're using a lot of water, they are getting affected, or they're at least influencing the government for the regulation. So every scenario will have a stakeholders. So we need to come up with at least 20 stakeholders. What is their power and interest, and what is their expectation from our business? For example, let's say banks. Okay, bank is a stakeholder. If you look at the power and interest, now we'll discuss what this matrix is in E3. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to do it now, so don't worry about that in the understanding part. But just to give an overview, power is how much they can influence. If you see bank in general, they cannot influence the strategy. Mostly their concern is like, oh, give my interest and I want the collaterals to be there, and ultimately I should get back my principal money, right? So usually the Power is low, but the interest is high because they have lended us money. And what is their expectation from us? We need to pay them timely payment. What else? What does the finance provider expect from us? Covenants, comply with the covenants. What else? Take care of the, let's say we have given some machineries as collateral, so we need to service the machinery, have insurance on the machineries, isn't it? Now same thing can go with the employees. Employees will have high interest, low power. Then we have suppliers. Suppliers can have high power in certain cases. Let's say if they're providing us lithium to make batteries, that supplier will have high power and high interest. But if you have a supplier who is giving us technology, basic technology, let's say ERP, so that supplier will not have high power. They'll have low power, high interest. Then what is their expectation from us? As a supplier, what they want? What is the expectation of supplier usually? Yes, Hemant, you want to answer?
No, I need to understand first of all once again.
Generally, what is the expectation of any supplier?
To have a proper return on the whatever invested.
Long-term contracts.
Long-term contracts, yes. Long-term contracts, payment on time, complying with the contract, not manipulating them, being ethical, referring them to other businesses, growing them, investing in them. Right? So like this, there can be number of expectation, and obviously it change according to the stakeholders. Now, if you talk about government will have high power but low interest. They are not very much interested in normal scenario. Obviously, this can change. What government want? We should pay on tax, pay tax on time. We should give more employment, invest CSR money for the development of the area, isn't it? So this will come in the stakeholders. Now, 100 important topics. This I have made for the exam. Now, actually, this is become 50 now. It was 100, but now we have trimmed down to 50. So, what is this important topics? This is like most likely questions for you. Usually, I suggest to use this like 2 weeks before the exam, not now, because this can be like a shortcut. If student get this now, they are like, okay, I'll just do this and pass. But again, there is no guarantee that all the paper will be from here. However, fortunately, we have been getting questions from this, but we cannot just depend. Again, it's not something new. This is what we'll be discussing in industry. Okay, where this question came from? This is coming from the previous papers, usually what CIMA is testing. Then this is coming from the industry. Like I just told you, we need to look at the trends, what is happening in the industry, and what type of issues. So I did the same thing. I used that, then I used the previous one, and we just came up with the questions and the answer, topics and the solution. Then after that, we'll look at the mocks. So we have 5 keystone mock, then we have 3 more mocks. So technically 8 mocks. At least you should do like 3 mocks, and if you do 5 mocks, you are better prepared. So mocks actually help, and we'll try to start our mock on first week of February around that time. So it will help us to understand the what are the improvement we need in the writing skill. Then if you're managing time properly, it looks like we have time, but trust me, all of you have different commitments, not like you're full-time students. So things will go fast, and I want to make it as simple as possible for you guys. My expectation is simple. You just give 2 hours daily, 15 hours per week, 14 hours also is fine. And we are giving like say 2-3 hours on Saturday, 2-3 hour sessions on Sunday. So around 20 hours of study if you do per week, I think it's good enough to clear in the first attempt. That's not a problem. Maybe when the exams are approaching, you can increase 1 hour daily more in the Feb month. That is good enough. not more than that. It's not like you have to study for 8-10 hours daily. I don't think so. If you work smartly, this much time is enough. And it doesn't matter, even if you're coming through exemption also is fine. It's just about understanding the approach. It's like understanding the expectations. Most of the students, those who have resit, there will be a lot of negativity on social media sometimes. Oh, it's difficult to pass in first time. But if you ask them like, okay, what did you prepare, or do you know what are the topics were there? They have not prepared. Or sometimes they are working professional, they just booked the exam on last day and they went for the exam based on the luck. But if we do proper planning and proper structuring, I don't think it's difficult. You'll get more mock review on marking from us, like how much you're scoring and what needs to be improved. Again, this is like closer to the exam. We'll do a separate session on answer structuring and planning. How to structure the answer is very important. For example, they're asking about key stakeholder in a scenario, and it is a 40% question. So how to write that 40%? Usually suggested answer can be like, okay, 10 paragraphs for 40%, but that is not possible, and maybe that is not required also. What we can do is like, we can target 10% per paragraph, then we can look for a headers, then we can look for an industry example. How smartly we can answer that. That is about structure. And CIMA also have said officially they want to have a well structured answer. So we need to make it look neat and tidy. Make it bold, underline, put headers, and make it easier for the reader, the examiner, the marker. That will help. Yes, Adek. Exam is subjective and scenario based, not again. Then how to know correct answer? Yeah, that's a very good question. So we don't have an exact correct answer. So for one scenario, we can have hundreds of correct answers. Like all of you can give a different answer for the same question, and all of the answers can be correct. It's just like your answer should make sense. For example, they're asking about funding. Okay. So one of you can say go for debt, one of you can say use retained earnings, one of you can say go for equity, one of you will say, don't even take the project, it's not worth it. All four answers are correct. Now, how we'll decide the quality of the answer? It is based on how you justify the points. Yes, that's what I was saying, marking. How you get the marking or the quality of answer is how you justify. If your point make sense, basic logic, then the concept wise. For example, let's say in our company, just a scenario, we have already 80% gearing ratio. We have like 80% debt in the capital structure. Now a question coming and you are saying, go for debt again. So that time it will be like, okay, it's very difficult for you to justify. Or assume that our company is in loss. They have shown loss for last year, and now there is a question about acquiring a business. And we are unstable, and you are saying, okay, go for acquiring it. So that will be a little difficult to justify. And how they mark on the other angle is they look at the skill, as I said, people, leadership, business, technical, digital. If you have showcased that understanding in your own words, that's how the marking will work. Then other area of marking can be the topic they've asked specifically, if you're answering that, and how depth it is. For example, usually it is like what, why, how this thing should be covered. What is the topic? How it can be done? Why we are using that? Then justifying that. All of this is included. I'll show you one mock also. Is that clear? Any question on this? Let's take one question. Let's take mock 2. I hope you can see the screen. So this will be your exam screen. Your name will be there. Then you have okay. So technically, how the exam is, you have 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, and each section is 60 minutes. So it's 3-hour exam, and each section is usually subdivided into 2. Like if you see A, B, A, B, A, B. So each section is 50 marks. So it's total 150, and to pass the exam, you need 80 marks. 80 out of 150. 60% means it is like 30 marks, 40% means 20 marks. 50-50 means 25 marks, 25 marks. We'll quickly see one example of a question and an answer to give you clarity. Okay, so as soon as you start the exam, if you see on the right hand corner, it says 59:59. What it is? 59 minutes, 59 seconds. Now, within 1 hour, 1 hour is the maximum time. If you fortunately, or I mean, it's very rare, but if you finish early, you can always go to the next task. Let's say you finish in 30 minutes. You can go to the next. Nobody is stopping you. But 1 hour is the maximum time. And in the exam, you will have access to reference material, as you see. You'll have access to reference material, then the pre-scene. Reference material is very important. Pre-scene is the same thing what we have now. So it's no point visiting them, visiting and wasting our time unless it is very important. Then you'll have calculator also, scratch. But anyways, this will discuss before the exam how to use that tool. But let's go to the question straight away. You'll get an email. Question will be in an email format. Okay. Your position is senior finance manager. You're working with the board of directors. So anybody from the board will ask you questions. Usually it is our finance director. For example, here Suhas is the finance director. So he's like from Suhas, finance director, to senior finance manager. What is the subject? Farland factory. So it's an email, and you're replying also an email. Let's see the question. Daxland government is seeking to reposition itself as a strong powerhouse for EV manufacturing and is pushing for homegrown companies to restructure their operations. Based on this, prepare briefing notes addressing the following issues. What is the thing here? Repositioning itself. Okay, what is the question? Evaluate SAF for disposal of factory in Farland. So what is SAF here? It's about suitability, acceptability, and feasibility. We'll discuss this in E3. But technically, we are trying to dispose of the factory. Dispose of means what? To sell off. Then B, analyze and recommend suitable valuation options we have to dispose the factory. So when we sell anything, what is the next question? The next question is how much to sell for. If you are buying something, if you have taken the decision, what is the next thing? Is about how much to buy for, isn't it? So if you see logically, these questions are very straightforward. First is, we just want to sell one of our factories, and secondly is how much to sell for, how to value it. Obviously, it will require some basic technical knowledge, but the explanation all of you can do in a different way, especially in the second one. We have different valuation methods, so all of you can recommend different options. It doesn't matter, whichever is closer to your understanding. Is it making sense? Now they give reference material. Reference material is usually to give you a clear understanding. So reference material can be like this, a news article, or it can be a report. It can be, minutes of the meeting. It can be anything. We'll just quickly go through that. Daxland accelerates. Daxland is a country where we are operating. Okay, it's all fictional what we are talking about here. Daxland accelerates domestic EV manufacturing. BSS's overseas footprint by staff correspondent. Okay. As Daxland intensifies its ambition to become a global hub for electric mobility and sustainable manufacturing, CIMA is undertaking a strategic review of its global production footprint with strong government backing for local innovation job creation. So technically, the local government is supporting us, and government wants to, invest in this. That's what happened in the US now. In China also, if you see, government was very supportive. The company is shifting focus towards consolidating high-value manufacturing within Dutchland borders. These moves align with national policy goals to enhance economic sovereignty, reduce cross-border dependencies, and position Dutchland as leader in next-generation EV tech. What they're trying to say here is, I mean, we have not done the pre-scene just to give you an overview. Previously, we have been operating in different countries, but now we are thinking, why not bring it back to Dutchland? Why? Because this opportunity or threat. It's an opportunity. How the taxation in the UK, what they have, the news, what we discussed just now, that was a threat. This is an opportunity question because the government is supporting us. In this context, legacy overseas facilities, while historically significant, are being reassessed for long-term strategic fit. Among them, a key electric motor production site abroad is under evaluation due to rising operational cost, limited policy alignment, and increasing logistical complexity. The company is expected to explore divestment or repurposing options that better align with future-ready Dutchland first manufacturing strategy. Remember, this is not an internal document. This is a newspaper, like any national newspaper. Does this make sense? Does the question make sense? I need you guys to talk more. You guys are very silent.
Yes, we need to go through the questions and let's see what individual can answer on.
Okay, we can just quickly.
Thank you.
Welcome, Hina. So, I know we have not done anything. This is the first session, but assume you have to answer this logically. What can be? Because if you answer, I'm not looking at the answer. I'm looking at, did you understand the question? Everybody can try.
Yes,
Just think
Mr.
logically. Yes, Raju, you can start.
Okay, so on, I've not yet covered the SAF, evaluate SAF part of it from
So I'll
E3,
give
so
you an
maybe I'll go
overview.
with
What is
option B.
SAF? SAF is basically looking at whether it is suitable for us or whether it is acceptable for us, and feasibility is about the resource. Do we have the money for it? So that is a basic thing what we do. Even if you're buying a car, like for example, even if you have decided to go for February exam, all of you, you have used SAF model. SAF model is suitable, whether it is suitable for me or not. Do I have this, this course or this qualification helping me or not in my career? That is suitable. Acceptable is your stakeholder, your work, your family, other commitment, the time. Then feasibility is about the resources, how much is cost or how much time it will require. That is about the SAF model in very simple words. But anyways, no need of SAF. But generally, when we are disposing of factory, what we'll think as a business? What points you will consider? Forget about SAF. Even in more simpler words.
So basically, we'll
How
start
much,
with the valuation. So, and valuation starts with, because of this industry, which is more of asset driven. So we will look at what all the assets that we have that can be sold, and also we'll start valuating each of those assets based on maybe a market value or a current resale value.
Okay. But that is more of a second question on valuation. But before that, what will consider? That's correct only.
The first question can be answered differently, like what is suitable for the government to sell their, is it feasible or is it suitable for the organization to be sold off in that particular area, and who are the buyers?
Right.
Our first question, I think the factory is not in Dustland area. So, and based on the scenario, Dustland are pushing for homegrown companies. So whether the Farland factory is benefit beneficial for the accumulator or not. Based on that evaluation, SF for disposal may be considered.
Right.
Ms.
So we can
also maybe we'll look at within the farland or the internal management, is there, we can promote it basically or create an opportunity if there is anybody willing to buy it internally rather than going external.
good point. Yes, management buyout.
Yeah.
What else? We can look at our mission, vision, what we have done in the past. Does it align with our values? Values are very important for the business. For example, remember, we are not just leading in Duxland. We are based out of country called Duxland, but we are a global leader, isn't it? It should not give a wrong impression in that country or in different countries. Think like company like Coca-Cola, they don't think about their own country where they come from. They have to think about a global strategy, right?
Then that way, if we have to look at the overall performance for the value creation in farland, and if we are really doing great, then we can still not go ahead with disposal, right? Can we suggest that answer?
Yeah, you can recommend towards the end. That's not the primary requirement, but it's good to recommend. That's a leadership skill. But first, we
Okay.
have to create the base. When they say evaluate, evaluate. You look at what are the advantages and disadvantages of that.
Okay.
I know we have not done the analysis, but logical points. Any business, forget about EV in general. If this is happening, what they'll consider? They'll look at cost and benefit analysis. They look at our mission vision. We can also look at the expertise. Do we
Sir,
have the
can we go on to the next screenshot, please? So we can look into a bit more of reference material.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So Duxland has an ambition to become a global hub for electric mobility and sustainable manufacturing. That's aligned with our values, because accumulator also has a value of being sustainable, and I think it just kind of aligned with our mission and vision as well, and it is useful. So I think it's a good idea to look into this investment, I guess. And then we can have some support on government backing for local innovation and job creation. Innovation is also accumulators' vision. We can have some subsidy or grant in terms of this business. Not sure if I'm on this path, but this is what I see.
Right. We can quickly have a look at their mission, vision, values.
Accumulator is already global, so whichever country it is, it doesn't matter as long as it's aligned with visions. We do want to be our best leaders in our industry.
Right. If you see what is our mission, today's mission is to make the world a better place by providing desirable and sustainable motor vehicles. So we are not talking about one country, we are talking about the entire world, because we are a global company. Then vision, a long-term goal. Today's vision is to be the leading manufacturer of sustainable motor vehicles. So if it promotes sustainability, again, we can say this aligning with our vision. Values, or we can say principles. Similarly, is constantly innovating, so it might help in innovation. It is committed to enhancing sustainability. It offers the highest quality in its products. Maybe it can improve the quality with the government backing more investment in R&D. It pays attention to the needs and desires of its customers. Maybe the last one, maybe or maybe not, we don't have so much of information. But overall, it looks positive. Siddharth is saying maybe diversify and produce a percentage from Duxland and remaining from farland. Good point. Just just like how iPhone has diversified their production. Very good. I was coming to that point. What are the disadvantages? Now government is supportive. Let's say we bring everything back and trusted government. What if tomorrow government is like, we don't care. Just you do what you want. Then what will happen? We cannot put all our eggs in one basket, isn't it? Especially when you are such a big organization.
We will have a public support because it says innovation and job creation. And then I think government will also support as it will create jobs for the local people. That's what it says in the reference
Government can
material.
support, and government might support in the future, but to what extent they'll support?
Grants and subsidiaries, maybe a bit of fast forward contracts, knowing the being global country and supply chain as well, looking into supply chain. We have to see how much requirement of this EV technology is needed within Duxland, because Duxland is not fully equipped with this industry as of yet. It's growing. It's not completely grown off yet. So I don't know what would be the demand of public on EV cars.
Okay.
The government can also back by this thought by providing some kind of more subsidies and more import incentives to back up.
Right. I mean, definitely government will support. We can be positive at the same time. To what extent? Now government is like over optimistic, but if tomorrow we bring everything back, remember we just discussed risk is a very important point, and especially when we are operating at this scale, we have more to lose. Even a small change in regulation can cost us big.
The interest rates can change. Then currency changes. That will be another risk. We need, being a different country, that will have a FX currency exchange rates issues. So we need to see what would be the margin on the bottom level. Operational risk.
Translation risk is there.
Translation risk, yes, that can be also be there. Translation. So technically, there are so many things we need to consider. We didn't read the presentation, but still a lot of points are coming. And if I tell you honestly, these points are correct. So take this positively. The only thing here is we have to think like a leader. The mindset is very, very important. Why I'm repeating that? Because we should have confidence going forward. I have seen students in 2 weeks, they have cleared this exam. And I've seen students from 4 or 5 years, they are struggling to clear it. And many of them have given up on CIMA. It's not about knowledge. It's not about hard work. It's just about the mindset. If we have the correct mindset, it's very easy. We have to think like a leader. If you think like, okay, I'm running this organization, automatically you'll have a different thoughts. You'll not think about, oh, I have to save my job. Now, if you're thinking as a leader, you're like, I have to save job of my employees. Let's say I have 20,000 employees working. So I have to save that 20,000 families. Let's say each family have 5 people now. Almost 100,000 people are depend on us directly. Indirectly, it will be even more. Start thinking as a leader, and now you are working for the organization, or you are leading this organization. Be into that mindset. Now, until the exam, even in your free time and all, you just think, okay, I'm leading Accumulator, I'm leading this business. We are EV manufacturer. So you'll get a lot of thoughts, Yeah, that was good. Anything else? Let's see what they have given in the answer. Again, for the answer, just to clarify, this is not an only answer. We are not doing any calculation. This is just one of the correct answer. You can just read through it, then I'll slowly scroll it down. The suitability was about whether it is suitable for us in this particular situation. If we are stable enough to take, okay, why suitability matters. Imagine we are struggling with the stability, so then it doesn't make sense to bring in new changes from our side. But if you are stable, if you are profitable, things are good, that's the time we can bring in change internally until it is forced. Therefore, suitability is very important. You can read this completely also later. Acceptability is whether it's acceptable or not. For example, acceptability evaluates the impact of disposal on internal and external stakeholders, including employees, regulators. So acceptability should be about the stakeholders. Maybe we have committed something there. Now we have to look at the public reputation. Maybe we have certain, or we can say a good amount of clients there, customers there. Therefore, we are having factory there. Now, if you bring in here, it can be an extra cost. For example, what is happening in the real world industries, BYD, they are setting up their factories or assembly center in Europe. Why? To safeguard on the taxes and to think, okay, it's locally manufacturing and they're bringing local jobs. But overall, still most of the job is or most of the work is done in China. Feasibility is about the resources. For example, if you talk about asset condition, the Farland facility is approaching the end of its productive life cycle. Retrofitting to meet future EV production standards would require disproportionate investment, making disposal a more viable path. So we need money even if you want to set up locally. So you might have to dispose that off, then use that money locally. Then capital we need, legal and regulatory pathways, and it takes time, right? Market conditions, who will be the buyer? Like one of you has suggested, we can sell to the same team who are operating. Maybe we can, but do they have the courage and expertise to take that? Most of the time, the employees, they will have an employee mindset. They will not be taking all this risk. Then corporate governance, do we have that skills at the board? We can talk about that in feasibility. So these are like, general points. You can add some other points, but again, directly, indirectly, it is all about the resources we have. For example, you cannot ignore a finance point here, isn't it? What you can do is you can write from a different perspective. That is what the correct answer is. Therefore, we don't call it an answer. We call it a suggested answer, because in case study we don't have an ideal answer. In calculation, we can say, yeah, this is the correct answer. It makes sense.
Yes, Ms. Bar.
Thank you. We'll go to the next one. Next one is more logical. Valuation. Analyze and recommend suitable valuation. So market-based valuation, how much is market ready to pay? Income approach, how much income we are getting from this. We'll discuss all of this. No need to get overwhelmed with any of the word. We have done zero about it, okay? So I'm not expecting you to know anything. But I'm just showing you what is the question and how the answer is done. And this is also to justify that we need a good typing speed. So just remind me that you guys should start investing in typing now. What you can type? You can type the same thing about the pre-scene industry. Your typing speed will also improve and you'll revise the thing also. Some students, they just type, they see and type the pre-scene in the start. So what happens is they read the pre-scene also multiple times and their typing speed and some of the words, some spellings usually which is wrong, spelling mistakes, that can be also avoided. It depends what works for you. Cost approach, replacement cost less depreciation can be their strategy value assessment. There are so many options. Then towards the end, we need to do our recommendations. Like from here, it is said the asset is suitable for the divestment due to misalignment. Valuation should blend market comparables, discounted cash flow, and strategy. So discounted cash flow, we are kind of pushing. Sometimes you can give to choose between two, but ideally, I personally believe that it's better to just give one option. It's not good to sit on the fence because it's not mandatory the board will listen to us. The CEO, the CFO, or the finance director, they are listening to us. But as a senior finance manager, we need to showcase our leadership. Whether they agree or not, it's none of our concern. But we should be very clear. We should be affirmative. We cannot be like, okay, I think, not required. They're asking a question means they assume you have, and obviously you have all the knowledge and expertise. You are sitting into a very important or key position in an organization. So they have that respect for you. Therefore, they're asking, right? Now we have to showcase that question. Showcase that skill, I mean. Is that clear? So this was about the mock. Now this is done. And usually the same story continues. I have made one video about how this exam works. I think I've shared with you guys. If you want, I can share that also. This is not part of this. That video is just about what are the questions, what are the answers. It's just like introduction to the SCS exams. Yeah. So the plan for today was mainly focusing on our strategy, how we'll be going forward, and if you have any Q&A, we can take. And from tomorrow, we'll start the pre-scene analysis. Okay. I request you guys to read the pre-scene analysis once. After this call, I'll share that all the links with you, so you have access to the material. So this is what the pre-scene is. Let me share again. This is the pre-scene. Okay. And we have done some annotation in that. Annotation, it means we have put certain points. You don't need to worry about that points. Okay. We'll discuss this very slowly, point by point. And on the top of that, we have made another document that is called pre-scene summary. You can see on the screen. This also I'll share with you. So have a glance on that. Basically, both are same, but just this is summarized version, and that is like exactly what they have here. What is your role? This mindset. I thought of doing a little bit of this today, but it's fine. No need to rush, because once we start, we need to spend at least 1 hour in just the introduction. So no need to do in bits and pieces. Your role, both simultaneously will do. But my request is to please read it at least once before you join tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yes, Mr.
And if you have any questions, we
Yes.
can discuss. So tomorrow we'll connect the same time. I'm done from my side now. I'm open if you have any questions, or we can connect tomorrow directly.
So for today, we just need to review this pre-scene. That's it,
Yes.
right?
Just read the pre-scene. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Because first we'll start with the pre-scene analysis. Once that is done, it will be easier in that E pillar, P pillar, and F pillar. We can apply to the scenario.
Okay.
Yes. And in fact, this pre-scene should be like, if I tell honestly, I usually recommend students to read the pre-scene daily. Obviously, now we are discussing in the class tomorrow, so you are doing. But after that also, you can spend 10 to 15 minutes. In 10 to 15 minutes, you can finish the entire document. maybe in the first 4-5 reading, it will take more time, but it's 27 page. You know, in 27 page, technically just 23-24 page to read. In the start, it might take you 30 minutes, 40 minutes, but once you read it 4, 5, or 10 times, you can bring it down to 15 minutes. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, you can just read the precinct. Why usually in the morning? Because you will have that thoughts coming up all over the day. Oh, you'll be thinking in traveling, or if you're doing work or going to university, you're like, okay, what were the risk? What was the stakeholder? Or if you're traveling, you'll see, oh, this is like, if you're in London, you'll see we have BYD buses. Or if you're in any other country, you'll see, oh, we have Tesla cars, these are electric. Or do we have a charging station? Your mindset will change. Or you must be just looking at on your laptop batteries. You're opening, okay, is it lithium or sodium battery? You know, all this curiosity will help us. In fact, I did this, you know, I was looking at some of my products and I just took the battery out and I was like, okay, why not our business Cumulator? We are manufacturing batteries for the cars. Why not we manufacture for laptop? Why don't we manufacture for other products, the tablets and everything, isn't it? And BYD is doing that. BYD, the industry leader, they are doing it. In fact, they started first with B2B. Now they have come into business to consumer direct. So they are very well diversified. If today they stop making cars also, they can still be, you know, sustaining easily. Why? Because they have diversified so much. But if you look at our business, we have not diversified. If you just go into coming up with better batteries, this will help our cars and it can create a different source of revenue itself. We are diversifying our business. So think like this. Okay.
अब जा रही है
All right, guys. So, any questions?
No, thanks. No question from my side.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.